Well, hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Airfix Chill. It's Monday, it's 8 o'clock, and we're going to just talk tonight. Hello, Mother, whoever's ringing me or texting me. She's dead, by the way. So we're going to talk tonight, really, about scale model shops this evening. Got quite a few in the chat already. Got the panel on. And we have got one shop owner here as well. He might be able to put some insights into this. And I just felt we haven't really covered it a lot on Airfix and Chill. I think one of the tragedies we've heard in the last few months is Hattons have now said we're giving up. They've not gone bust. They are financially sound. They are just, what can we say, winding down the business. And I thought we could have a discussion tonight about the future of scale model shops. Where do you feel scale model shops are in your realm? As in, are you the kind of person that will go to a scale model shop and say, I need this, can you get it in for me? Or you go there to get particular accessories or paint or supplies? Or have you, because there is no model shop around you, end up going to like the Airfix website to buy your Airfix kits, or you go to eModels or Jadlam? So basically it's a free for all tonight, and I'm going to try and get as many people in the chat on the side who are talking in the chat up on the screen and discuss their thoughts on it. So open up the floor on this one. Is there a future for scale model shops? And I'll tell you what, we'll start with you, John Alec, in America, who struggles getting to scale model shops. How do you feel that scale model shops are, in America for you?
Yeah, so we have one hobby shop here, and it's primarily a model shop, but it's a hobby shop. So the city or town I live in, Frederick, Maryland, I think there's like 175,000 people that's in the I guess the incorporated area or something like that. There's one hobby shop. I mean, and so I will go there occasionally. If you look at the totality of the purchases I make, it's less than 5%. So it's like statistically insignificant. And I'll go in there just to see what they have. They kind of have the same stuff. Sometimes I'll go in there if I need something that I know that they're going to have, right? If I want to shop for something visually myself and see it, hold it, oh, okay, yeah, this is what I need. This is what I'm going to get. I have yet to ask the guy that runs it's nice guy. It's the type of place we call a mom and pop store. Real nice guy. I've never asked him to order anything for me. I feel good about supporting that local business. I know I'm paying full retail for these things. I don't go crazy when I go in there, but I might buy. They have a pretty big car collection, and building cars here is really big. They have planes and ships and stuff like that. But I'll go in there just to see, if you've got a couple cars, and I'll buy some. I'll get some paints while I'm there. Sometimes they have Mr. Color thinner, and if I need Mr. Color thinner, it's the small one, and I'm paying out the what for it. But I do at least 95% of my purchasing online.
Yeah, fair enough. If there was a model shop like around the corner from you, would you have changed that scope? Would you be more inclined to go and support him if he's around the corner from you?
No. I can be at my model shop in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Somewhere 10, 12, 15 minutes.
Sorry, I thought it was a bit longer than that. That was all. Sorry.
I can get there pretty quick. Frederick isn't that big. But so even if we had more model shops, I tend to shop where I'm comfortable shopping, right? So I'm kind of a repetitive OCD type person, and so I'd probably still just go to that same one. We did have a long time ago another hobby shop, and that was about 20 minutes away, and it was a lot bigger. And that it closed down because of just business. I don't know how this guy stays in business. I don't think I've ever seen more than including myself, 3 different consumer groups. So in other words, if there's a couple and another person and myself, that's 3. I've never seen more than 3 entities in there shopping at once. I don't know how the guy stays open, but anyways.
Yeah. What about you then, Sully? How do you buy model kits? Have you got a model shop in your area that you go to, or you you shop around on the Tinterweb?
Unfortunately, I have to do the latter.
Yeah.
There's not one. I thought actually of a quick look before you asked me. There's nothing anywhere near me in the slightest. There's a couple of like railway shops, but there's no proper what I call a proper model shop. I'd rather go to a shop, but I have obviously very little choice, so I have to unfortunately use what is part of the problem.
Yeah.
Really. And I don't like it, but I've got no choice. I have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd sooner physically, like Joe said, physically go and have a look at something, and feel it in my hands. Because sometimes there's a lot of stuff I have a tendency to do, and I just make stuff on the spot, and I don't know what I'm picking up is actually going to be. Is going to fit in with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I have to order it and then hope for the best.
Just quickly, yeah. As I said, a lot of people are saying exactly what you're saying. Though it's like more of a case of having to, because there isn't one in your area.
Yeah, it's shit really, but I mean that's the way things are. I mean, I remember years ago when I was a kid, there was there's a couple, not too far, too far away.
Yeah.
Any given time, but no, they're few and far between. Because I assume mainly because of the internet.
Yeah. Well, as I said in the chat here, the Flying Dutchman said, I haven't been in my brick and mortar hobby shop for over a year. Wayne Welly, I think to a degree hobby shops are needed still, but I think the internet will mostly win. Have to buy everything online. There's no model shops within 90 miles, which is tragic. I really enjoy talking to staff and holding the boxes in shops, but it's been going to online for many years now, and I miss that. That's peak, that is. Martin B, I lost my main shop about 3 years ago. Otherwise, the next one is too far away. So I'm forced to go online. And then Gary's also said I have to travel a bit for a model shop like Hannants in Hendon. Otherwise, it's via online from different retailers. So, this is the sort of pattern. So I'm under the impression that really for model shops to survive, they have to be online at the same time. And then spend a ton of advertising to get their name at least mentioned. Or what about you then, Alex? Because you own a model shop. What's you've got a skin in the game for this one. So I'm glad you're on. Because I thought about it today. Because we all got that email from Hattons, and we may go into why they did close down. But you're a new shop, so in all fairness, you've got the biggest mountain to climb. It's no molehill for you, is it?
No, and the problem is, so for me, I started the shop not to be financially dependent on it, right? That was the plan, which was a good plan because looking at it over the past couple of months, doing it full time, it's not commercially viable. So I would say coming into it as a modeler, knowing what I know, it's easy to make the business profitable, to pay for itself. To make it pay for anything else, like my mortgage, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And if I still had my consultancy work, I'm looking for another job at the moment because the shop is not sustainable full time as it is. The margins are too low. That's one of the problems. And I have very reasonable rent. I've got a great landlord. I got very few other, outgoings. I don't have to pay somebody to be in the shop or anything like that. So it's tough to make it pay for more than itself. And any business needs to be able to pay for more than itself. So I was really happy that I could make the business profitable within a few months. Within a couple of months, it was paying for itself, which most businesses in the first year make a loss. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But when you need it to make money to actually pay your bills, that becomes a different problem. So, and in terms of kind of the root of it, the internet is obviously a big draw, and it's not helped by a couple of things. One is some of the companies are quite difficult to deal with, and I will call Airfix out actually as the worst of these in terms of, I know it may not be a popular opinion, but the Airfix shop, the Airfix club, the way that they push stuff directly to people kills local retail. It really does, because they will do stuff that retailers can't compete with, and there's no notice of that. Other manufacturers, and I will call out Revell for actually being very good at this, make it easy as a retailer. So they actually let you know. They give you the same offers as a retailer. So at least you're informed and can offer the same prices that they're going to offer on their website. So they're much more a distribution model rather than Airfix, which is a hybrid model, which is weird, right? You're competing with the people that you also try to get to sell your product.
Yeah.
The other part is modelers. You know, we all have a certain amount of blame, I think. And I talk about this not just with my retailer hat on of, you know, the past few months, but before. I always prefer to go to a model shop previously. One of the reasons I started the shop as kind of a sideline was because there isn't anything really in the area. You have to drive for about 45 minutes to an hour for me to get to anywhere. Now, I noticed in the chat, somebody says, oh, you know, we used to have one on the corner and it moved 15 minutes drive away. It's like, guys, if we can't be bothered driving for 15 minutes to support a local business, then we won't have local businesses. This is the whole thing that happened back in the 80s and 90s with the high street and, you know, retail food shops. The reason we don't have fruit and veg shops on the high street and stuff in general, and we have out of town big supermarkets, is because people weren't buying from those local supermarkets, even if they were buying, even if the prices were the same. So the prices in my shop are compatible with internet prices. So a lot of people have come in and said, your prices are actually really good. And from my point of view, it's incumbent on a retailer to be able to compete with the internet, because there has to be a reason, right, to come in. If you can see something, get the advice from the shop, and then just place your order online for less, it's like, why would you buy from the shop? You know, there has to be a reason. I mean, the value add to me of a shop is also because I am a modeler, I can actually chat to people and offer advice. And to me, it's one of the huge pluses of being in that position is to be able to talk to people. And I've had some fantastic conversations. The best bit about it all has been the customers who've come in and I've had conversations with, either that are, you know, old modelers, actual, you know, plane and AFV operators, some great stories there, or that are, you know, just getting into the hobby, and you can advise, which is a great, I think the ability to be able to, you know, pass on knowledge and bring people into the hobby is a great privilege, you know. And, you know, the Airfix, I think, are worth calling out on the positive side there as well. So I won't say negative things there. You know, they deserve the positive for the starter range. I've got a full starter range stand in the shop. I always advise people, you know, if you're just starting out, it's your first thing, or you're buying. A lot of people buy for, you know, cousins, nephews, whatever. These are a great point to start at because they're designed for people to start with, you know, rather than, you know, cheap secondhand kit, which might be difficult and put them off, that kind of thing. So it's a tough one. I mean, I don't think model shops are different from a lot of other shops in the way that they have to compete with the internet. They have to compete with big out-of-town shopping centres. Less of that from modeling, but we do have to compete with things like hobbycraft, you know, for cheap supplies, let's call them.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that's not unique to model shops, but is the number of suppliers you have to deal with. So in order to provide a rounded experience, why go to a model shop? You know, it's like, yes, you can pick up the kits and look at them and stuff, and sometimes it's nice to make that impulse buy. But ideally, I think, you know, you were talking about paints and different manufacturers. Ideally, you want to go because they've got a wide range of like paints. You know, you might want some Humbrol enamels. If you're a railway modeler, you might want some Tamiya acrylics. You might want some lacquer paints. You know, you might want all of that. You might also want to pick up some glue, or maybe some PVA glue, or maybe you want some cotton buds or some masking tape. Those all come from different suppliers. and they all have their minimum orders, so it's difficult to get that foot on the ladder to get a really well-stocked shop. And if you're not really well-stocked, then people will be like, oh, they only do Airfix kits, or they only do, Tamiya paints, so there's less inclination to go there. So it's a bit of a catch-22 in that as well.
Yeah. Fair enough. Somebody just put up on there, which is really, really important. And I say this is the reason why the high street shops have died and have been replaced by bookies and charity shops. Is like, any major city now, like Bristol, you've got to pay a tax just to drive in to the city. And parking is nigh on £10 for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So then, this is why some of us modelers go to Hobbycraft, because they're on the outskirts of a city. They're in like their own, and there's no paying for parking. You park up, and while you're there's a Costa there, and there's PC World, or or a Sports Direct. You know what I mean? There's all those, and there's the Hobbycraft in it. But high streets are dying. And the thing is, I only found this out a few years back because I had a friend who's given up with his shop, was that he was selling haberdashery stuff like fabrics and whatnot. And across the road, there was a charity shop selling the same. But the kicker for him was that he was paying, that tax. What's it called?
Business rates.
The business rates. But the charity shops didn't.
Yeah.
Which is an absolute con. Charity, you can't deny it. The third sector, charity work, it's one of the most profitable things to get into. If you're a CEO of, say, something like Oxfam or something, you want 100 grand a year. I've seen adverts for managers of charity shops bringing in 20 grand a year. That's what to be a manager of this charity shop, 20 grand. And so other people haven't got got a chance. But what I will say about Hobbycraft, yes, they have a range of modeling there. They do. But it's dire. They won't invest heavily. They will not invest. They've got the complete range of Revell. They've got the X and the XFs of Tamiya. But everything else, you can't find there. I'm just saying, they don't do Humbro either, I've noticed. I can't see Humbro. But then who does Humbro anyway? But
I do Humbro.
You do Humbro, yeah. Because you got a free stand. But like I'm saying, at the end of the day, if Hobbycraft, who are a big a big company, aren't going to invest, in what was that, 12 shelves or like a line of shelves, which have got, they're not the cheapest of kits. So I value that, I get that. But there's no experience there. So when you go in there, the woman who's probably telling you where the model kits are will only really know much about how to use one of these embossing machines, and that's it. And I have, just to try it out, they've put signs up saying, come along and do a course on scale modeling or a day with scale modeling. And I've put my email down, never heard a bean back from them. So it just shows you that they didn't have many takers. But going back to the actual brick and mortar hobby store, I don't think, because years ago it would be one or two brands of models. So you probably would have had an Airfix, Matchbox, and Revell in the model shop. You would have had two types of paint. You would have had your glues and whatnot. But if you really think about it, the actual experience of a scale modeler is that way exploded on us that we expect. There's some who, we don't just go by, we are Airfix modelers or we are Tamiya modelers, blah, blah. We're Vallejo painters. We are Tamiya painters. We use, MIG ammo bits. We want AK. So no, you cannot expect a small brick and mortar shop to be able to house it all. Hence why you need to go around looking around the interweb.
It's a really good point, Moss. I mean, my shop is small, right? It's a small shop. Sully's seen it. He knows how big it is. You've probably seen it on the videos. I've got a 5-figure sum of stock. I mean, and I've tried to get, like you say, a broad range, because limiting yourself to one or two brands, if you can show that you can do a lot and you can order stuff in specifically for people. And I do say, actually, I got some really good customers, some really good loyal repeat customers who will come in and say, can you order me a Tamiya, 024567 or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
because they're not worried about it being there the next day. They're okay with it being like 3 or 4 days. That's not a problem for them. But getting the stock is a huge initial barrier. But I think one of the things that we forget, and one of the reasons I always liked to go in model shops before starting mine, is you go into a model shop and quite often you will, if you're shopping on the internet, it's usually very focused. Like, I want to buy, for instance, a Tamiya F15C, right? We've got a group build, we're going to do this. And you'll get those things. If you go into a model shop, you might get the kit, but you'll also see, oh, God, yeah, I'm running low on super glue, or I'll see something like a little tool or just something. It doesn't have to be expensive or anything, but you just think, oh, yeah, I'll pick that up while I'm here. So it's that kind of that broad view of you start picking out little bits and you end up spending, 3 times as much as you wanted to, but that's part of the joy of it. Whereas you don't get that with the internet. And if you do then come back, oh, I need to buy some super glue, and then you start putting it on, unless you've got Amazon Prime, which of course you are paying for postage in the whole package. Or I had a customer come into the shop the other day saying about paints, because they wanted a bunch of paints. And they're saying, yeah, I looked online and I could get these 2 from this manufacturer, but they had this one and this one were out of stock. And there's postage on each time. So if you have to buy from 3 or 4 shops, you're actually paying way over the odds, So I think that aspect of shops, I mean, it's shops in general, right? It's not just model shops, but I think we are kind of susceptible as well to, getting those, forgetting what we need, because there are so many pieces that we can get, And if you see some useful things in a model shop that you've been thinking about trying, but they're just not present at the top of your mind when you're doing a project, you wouldn't ever put them in a search engine because you wouldn't be thinking of it when you went to buy that specific thing. So I think that's one of the joys of a model shop. And I think the good model shops I've been into in the past have always had that aspect.
I'll agree with that, because when I went to Alex's shop, which was, to be fair, was the last shop I ever went into, I had the intention, thought, I'm going to go in. I'm definitely going to buy a kit, because obviously at the time we're not long open. I thought I've got to at least buy 1 kit, support. And what did I come out with? 3 bloody kits, 2 paintbrushes, and something else, I think.
Free T-shirt. There you go.
Oh, that was a free T-shirt.
I think
it's true.
Go on,
and you got it's the interaction as well with somebody, and especially if you're not sure on something, you can ask them. Because I mean, I've sat there looking at stuff online, and I've gone to ask my missus, and I'm thinking, well, I'm asking her because she can do 2 monkeys about what the I'm bloody doing,
Yeah.
And it is nice to have somebody that knows sort of the same stuff as you do, and you can sort it out between you. Or or that sort of thing, and it's nice that I mean, I do always like going to a shop, for anything if I can. But the problem is, like we said before, the internet makes it too easy. You ain't going to be harsh. You ain't going to go anywhere. Get it delivered. It comes in a couple of days, and you're sorted.
Yeah, that's Amazon Prime is that, isn't it? Amazon Prime is very much that case, isn't it?
I didn't even use Amazon. I don't know if it might be just me. I'm not looking in the right places, but I struggle to find. I used to not, but I struggle to find stuff on Amazon now. I just get everything off eBay. The only thing I have to check is who's it coming from, because there's that one particular shop I'd rather not use.
David Barber says it's the way of the world now, Moz. Customers demand a full range of products, all used to Amazon, and yeah, I do understand that. I really do. But what we're trying to get at is that if you think about it, I'm not going to deny there's shops online that I use. When I can get up to Buffer's Model Railway, I go up there. But it's I haven't been for nearly 6 months now. And but they do have a good range of certain products there. But they for instance, they don't sell the LP paints from Tamiya, which I used to use before Outlaw Paints came along. But yeah, we can argue the toss. At the end of the day, it's not a fair It's not a fair war online and brick and mortar, because as I said, brick and mortar, you've got your rates to pay, and everything else. And I remember years ago. Do you remember? Just bringing this up now? Do you remember the old Tesco row years ago? You could buy DVDs cheaper from Tesco because there was no VAT on them because they were shipping them from Jersey. Do you remember that debate? And the bloody government closed that loophole quick enough, didn't they? So maybe the loophole between online and brick and mortar needs to be closed even further in that respect. But you're not going to, if
That's
you're
like play.com, isn't it?
Yeah, play.com. So but Tesco's doing it as well, weren't they? Play.com and all that. But there's the idea of online. Yeah, when you go on Amazon, if you want to be a retailer, you can go on Amazon, but they take their 30%, which is basically no profit if your profit margins are at 24%, if you see what I mean. But it's ease, isn't it? But yeah, it's all the same. It was Hobbycraft at Newton Abbot last week. It was all crammed into 2 shelf units like an afterthought. Very poor. Hobbycraft in my local retail park is absolutely terrible for parking. We'll never go there. We're getting a lot of this coming through. It's I think Celtic was saying like having experience of going to brick and mortar, and I think that's why we tend to buy more model kits at model shows, because you're in that hive, aren't you? You're talking, you're thinking, you're seeing. I would never have bought that ICM boat that I built last week or week before if it wasn't for the fact somebody else bought it and they had a raft of 7 of them, and I thought for 20 quid I want a bad little buy, so I went and bought it because I was in that moment. Maybe we could get that experience of a scale model show into a scale model shop, so it makes it an experience of going there. But that doesn't help to any of us, because if the scale model shop is 90 miles away, or it's in the middle of on a high street somewhere where you've got to park the car and costing, it'd be cheaper just to buy it online. So it's still up there. What about you, John Parker? Do you still buy from online shops, from brick and mortar, or are you online now?
The last 10 models I bought were definitely from the North East Model Centre, which is about 12 miles away from where I live.
Oh, that's a great shop.
It is an amazing shop. The thing I do want to say, that the thing about going into a bricks and mortar model shop is that when you're shopping online, you don't ever get that wow factor. When you're picking a box off the shelf, looking at it, you don't get that, God, look at this thing. This is massive. This is really neat. You don't get that when you're going online. It's very cold, isn't it? I mean, Alex will tell you, loads of people will come in and ask for advice. Sometimes I've been in the shop and I've actually steered people towards a more manageable option, because they might be buying for their son and he likes painting figures, but he wants to buy a tank. So you go for 35th. Whereas he was looking at 48th, and there isn't much on the market in 48th figures, is there?
Yeah, that's quite true.
You don't get that from online shopping.
That's a good one. I'll speak to you, James, about this one. With less and less local modelling shops and the newspapers carrying stories that railway modelling is dying out, where do you think our hobby stands as of now? Dying, stale, or on the up?
To be honest, it's YouTubers who are saying that it's stale and dying. The fact is, most of these the railway modelers are buying them from all the model shops, all the railway model shops. So you've got, as well as Hattons, Rails of Sheffield, D-Rails. God, I've got to think of these off the top of my. I'm trying to think of these off the top of my head.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
and also from the websites. So it's not dying at all.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I don't think scale modelling is dying. I know a lot of disgruntled railway modelers, who are saying that, what's there to come? There's a lot to be said. Why have Hornby decided to bring out TT120? Because they've done everything else before. Now they've got a new scale to aim at. Maybe that's a new option.
What people don't see is I've actually been approached by Hornby, and I've had the market research team come in here. So obviously, when people are speaking to if they're speaking to Hornby, they've spoken to us. They've spoken to the railway modeller.
Yeah.
And most of the people, they realise that the people live in smaller houses these days. Because there are all these housing estates going up in 10 minutes flat. They're about, well, the average size of a room is 10 by 10. So you can't get a model railway in there.
No, it is you have to build an extension, don't you, or do something with the attic.
That's right.
I just had a flooring put. We've only done 2/3 of the attic, by the way, 2/3, and that was over £2,000 just to get the floor down on 2/3 of the attic.
Yeah, it cost me to do that.
Yeah, and that's not including. I've got to actually start looking because it becomes a bit of a nightmare because now we've sealed it off. It gets quite damp up there. Condensation rises, hits the top of the roof, and then comes down as like raindrops. So we've got to find a way of ventilating it. That's going to be more money, and because of the age of the house, we need planning permission to do something to the roof, and blah blah blah. It gets too much. So, but maybe they were thinking that because of this, and people are thinking, well, it's just too big for us. Let's go down the 120 route and let's invest in new tooling, new trains, and everything into that 120, which is a little bit bigger than N-gauge.
Well, N-gauge is small.
Yeah.
So for little kids, obviously it will easily get broken. TT120 is a little bit larger. It's only a little bit larger, but it's a nice handleable size.
Yeah.
And obviously the track is obviously for people. They can put a layout on a dining room table like this.
Yeah. So you can then flip up if it's a 6x4 sheet. Of plywood, that you can flip it up out the way and then put it down again when you want to use it. I get all that.
I mean, I used to have my layout in here for my first layout before I went up in the loft. And that was a 7x4 sheet.
Yeah,
I don't know why it was 7x4, but hey-ho.
Yeah.
I think my dad was being lazy because he didn't want to get the long pieces of timber.
Crazy Locker said you also have to consider American distances a different perspective than of the British view and traveling. I get that. Normally if we jump in the car and have to drive 2.5 hours, well, that's a bit far. Whereas you've probably got to get on a plane. It takes you 2.5 hours to get on the bloody plane and 2.5 to get off the other side. So I get all that. Wesley Wynn, Airfix themselves are on the up. They posted the best profit for 3 years, didn't they? Well, they don't do that. Hornby put out a release saying that they've made, but if you go looking through the figures, they've invested heavily in wargaming, so that's something a little bit we've got to get to. But the reason I brought it up, because I said was Hannons. That's right, Hattons. Get it right, not Hannons. Hattons. There is a company that you could say was like the Woolworths of scale modelling. Everybody knew of them. Yeah. When you would buy a second-hand kit from a model show, there would be a sticker on it saying BTs or Hannons or Hattons. Hattons. There would be a sticker, wouldn't there? Oh, that kit had come from Hattons. Honestly, sometimes but yeah, but for them to just decide now, that's it. There's not enough meat on the bone now. They haven't gone bust. They're going to wind down the business. For some, they have a lot of what I would say loyal customers.
Yeah.
If somebody like them feel the need to do that, what does it say of the state of brick and mortar model shops in this country? What do you think, Sully? What's your thoughts on that?
I think there's always going to be one somewhere. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be like fashions. They just disappear, and then maybe in the future that they may start popping back up again. Because I think generally most people, and it seems like it from the chat, that most people would sooner go to a shop than do it online.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I might be wrong. I'd like to see, like shops come back, but like you say, I get it because like you says, you've got all the shit that you've got to pay for to just to have the shop. Never mind what goes in it.
Yeah,
the stock and the staff and all that sort of business. Because I did retail for best part of 20 years, so I know what it's like. Even though I wasn't involved in that part of it, I knew what it was, what it was like, because I've been in businesses where people got laid off and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd like to see shops come back, and it was great when Alex the other year said, I'm opening a shop. Nowhere near me, obviously, which is a pain in the arse, but at least
move your shop,
but
move
it
your
was
shop.
not. Yeah, it's come back up this way a bit, but it was just nice the fact that rather than a shop saying, "Oh, we're going under" or "We're closing," there's a shop opening, and that was nice to hear that for a change, because it's something you very rarely hear.
Yeah.
I mean, I think almost we need like that renaissance in.
Yeah.
I think it has to come from modelers, really. But like you had with like recycled clothing, we need that kind of hipster kind of movement where people, actively go out and look for these shops and support them in the way, not in the way that hipster shops charge, like 50 quid for a shirt that's 50 years old. Because I think it is the responsibility again of the retailer to. I think somebody mentioned before, having a full range is fine. If it's all at RRP, it's like, well, that what is the advantage? Yes, you can have an experience and stuff, but I think modelers are kind of conditioned to be bargain hunters.
Yeah.
And you have to have that thing that when you come into the shop, if you look at it and it's kind of internet equivalent prices, it's like, well, yeah, I could go home and buy the kit, a couple of kits he's got here and the one he doesn't have from Jadlam or whatever. But then I've got to pay postage on top of that and wait for a few days. Whereas, I could buy them here. I'm not going to buy the kit that of the 3 kits, he's got 2 here and he doesn't have the other one, but he could order it for me. It's just getting to that point where we're prepared of like, yeah, actually, I'm going to do that and then come back for the other one, or just wait. Because it's like, realistically, are you going to do those 2 kits in the time that it takes for that other kit to come in? And realistically, we probably won't even started the first one. So I think there has to be that kind of almost, like I say, renaissance in the attitudes of modelers to actually go out and support it, because it is too easy just to buy, oh, I want this, it's on Amazon, or Airfix is doing a 40% off sale, so I'll buy that Vulcan. It's like, well, are you going to do that Vulcan, or is it going to sit in your loft for 20 years? So there is that, because I think with, and somebody raised it here about business rates, the barrier to me, say I persevere with the shop, I get some job that pays the mortgage, that allows me to do the shop full time, and it pays for itself. The barrier for me getting a bigger shop, so a chap unfortunately passed away. He was the key maker and cobbler in the town, right? He's got a bigger shop. So if I were to say, oh, okay, I could go to a bigger shop, if the rent is more, the rateable value increases. At the moment, I'm exempt from business rates. Now, if I move to a bigger shop, I suddenly get in business rates. It's like, well, what's the actual incentive for me to be successful and expand? It's actually not, because then I'm going to be looking at not a 24% margin, but like maybe a 14, because I've got to accommodate the business rates in that. So I think from a wider perspective, this goes to all retail, right? If councils are serious about regenerating high streets and stuff, it is all the stuff that you mentioned, Moss. Parking, business rates.
Yeah.
How many? I mean, I bet we're all living in towns, no matter where we are. Whether it's the States, whether it's Britain or Europe or wherever, where you go into your local town and there are empty shops or empty units, or there's charity shops, or there's a lot of hairdressers, and it's just like it's all the same. And it doesn't give you that feeling of like, well, I'm going to go there to buy something because I don't need my hair cut more than once every few weeks. Or I don't need a tan today.
Yeah, John doesn't have that problem, do you, John Alec? You don't worry about that.
Just gets it off the barbie.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Well, Sully needs a vajazzle, and
he has a brilliant head of hair.
Yeah, so brick and mortar. So just because you've got a brick and mortar, actually, you have an online shop. Do you find the online side of it getting hard to grasp? Seeing that the likes of I'm going to mention names: Jadlam, E-Models, you know, even like the retailers Airfix, Revell do online, and they've got and because the last kit I bought off Revell, they had a 40% off thing in an email, and I think I bought the F15 Strike Eagle, and that came from the UK because the label was UK. But you must have to, you know, rely on getting your name out there through your YouTube channel, and I presume a little bit of Google AdSense, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly so.
Mm.
So I took advantage of the, you know, you spend £400, you get £400 free on Google AdSense last year.
Well, doing it right is the issue. Doing it right is the issue, because you can spend like 400 quid and not get the target audience. You know, this is why there's businesses now who just help you with Google advertising, and it costs an absolute fortune. You know, and to be fair, I used to get the Jadlam email, and I turned it off for a while, because it's just constantly every day there's something coming through. Not Jadlam, sorry, the mini art one. It was just constantly bringing emails through and through. I keep the Jadlam one on nowadays because I end up getting more news from Airfix from the Jadlam newsletter than I do from Airfix themselves. Like, you know, doesn't mean I buy off Jadlam. I think I had to buy one off them once, and that was because one of the kits that I had pre-ordered from Airfix never showed up, and I had to get it next day. So I got it on Jadlam, paid the £4.99 to get it next day, and lo and behold, it came quicker than Amazon would bring it. You know, Amazon never gets here before the afternoon, and Jadlam, I bought it like say 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the Friday, and I got it 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Saturday morning through Royal Mail. So, you know, Braywood Park has put this up as a railway model. I think Hatton's falling out with Bachmann and then Hornby could not have helped their business, and they never sold stock at exhibitions, unlike Rails Colonel. And does anybody got any insight into that? Because I didn't know they fell out with Bachmann. I know
they fell out with Bachmann. I thought it was actually Rails that fell out. One of the big retailers fell out with Bachmann. Weren't stocking Bachmann for ages.
Yeah,
I think it was Hannon. It was Hatton's. You got me saying Hannon's now.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there was a bit of an off there. I know that Bachmann, their trade. Somebody sent me a letter saying this is how much it costs to have Bachmann in my shop.
Yeah.
And they wanted like nearly a third of the shop with Bachmann products.
Yeah.
And I'm not. But said for a company, you know, they did their own rail stock, didn't they? They did their own rolling stock, didn't they? From the trade side.
I think they may have caught a cold on how much tooling costs are.
Yeah.
Because obviously, when they they're very ambitious what they were doing with their their rolling stock.
Well, if you remember watching James May's Big Trouble in Model Britain, you know, they invested heavily in a Terrier and some Class 66s. Simon got a whiff of it, brought theirs out, and you saw, you know, I did an article on it on my Substack. You know, the fallout for that was ingenuous on Simon's part. He knew exactly what he was doing, but to say on the show, clearly, what are they doing getting into our side of the business for? We don't go into their side of the business. Well, it's bollocks, because they're selling your product online, and you weren't doing anything like Terriers and whatnot, and they wanted, you know, they've been waiting for years for you to bring out this stuff, and there was nothing. So boom, that was it then. So, you know, and they, you know, and I think in the end they didn't bother going down that route, and they kept it quiet, didn't they, when they started doing their own produce. But yeah, I didn't know about Bachmann or that. But see, Bachmann are quite big because they do model kits as well, don't they? Aren't they? The AIP, aren't they? Don't they bring in Tamiya or something? Trumpeter,
Hobby Boss. I Love Kit.
Yeah.
Bachmann do Academy. Cagliari.
HK.
Various other bits. So, I mean, actually, Bachmann and so you've got Bachmann, you have Creative Hobbies and the Hobby Company. Are all the main importers for a lot of the like Far Eastern kits and stuff. And then there's a couple of other smaller ones that come in. they're all actually pretty good from the model side. I can't speak to the model railway bit, but
This is Bachman you're talking about, yeah?
yeah, Bachman Creative, the hobby company. Now they all, and again, I will go back to manufacturers being responsible and importers as well. But if you look at Bachman Creative and the hobby company, they all have online portals. They don't really push them, and they're all RRP. So they're not really, they understand distribution in that they aren't trying to, excuse my language, fuck the people that they're also supporting. Whereas the manufacturers, Airfix and Revell pushing their own portals. Revell, as I say, are better because they give you the same kind of offers. They give you notice, so you can choose whether you're going to, to do that or whether you're just going to let the cheap stuff go, direct. Airfix, not so much. Airfix, I find, have a really strange business model. I've never encountered it in 30 years of doing business. The way that Airfix have this dual nature of really pushing direct sales, and they really do push direct sales, and then having a distribution network. It's like, well, which do you want? Because you can't have your cake and eat it and, come out of this smelling of roses. You really got to decide which is you're really going to put your, you're really going to back, because they're kind of incompatible.
Okay. Fair enough. I get that.
But yeah, I don't know what Bachman are like on the railway side, but for the model side, they're pretty.
They are good at supplying spare parts, apparently. So I've heard.
I think they all do to an extent. This is why I did my video about the Airfix kits. People were saying, "Oh, this isn't," and so I thought I'll do a video because people think you go through customer services. Don't bother with customer services. Go through technicalservices.uk at airfix.com, and they are more helpful. As long as you've got that sticker on the back and you have a proof of receipt, whether you buy it from a model shop or from the Airfix website, you've got that receipt, they will ultimately sort it out for you. Because, I get it when people are buying second-hand kits and whatnot, they can't really help, but they do have a service where they do have the part in stock.
Or the other thing is, Moss, if you have a particular VPN, you can make it look as though you're emailing from Moss, and then you get the parts straight away.
All lies. I've even done it twice now on my normal email address, and it's happened. So I've been pretty good. Short. Again, it's short. And that's one of the things, that comes with buying Airfix kits. They some of them will come with short shots, and that's why people don't trust Airfix abroad, because trying to get spare parts, the only thing they can do is take that kit back to the shop and hope for the best. But Revell were very good.
Can I add something, Moss?
Yeah.
If you've got a second-hand kit that's really old, don't be surprised if you contact the company and they have got a spare that you're after.
Yeah,
I remember years ago, I had a Sheridan tank which when I tried to put the tracks on it, the track snapped, and Airfix supplied me with two because the first replacement one snapped as well.
Yeah,
but that kit was out of production for 15 years.
You have to pay for it though, don't you? You have to pay for them spares.
No, they sent it me free.
Oh, you were lucky then. Did you use
it was
email?
But they did send it me free.
Did you use the more 651
email? Yeah, I used the email system. Yeah, which was a bit of a joke.
Yeah. No,
I also told them that I was involved with the Air Training Corps modelling department, and we were about to enter a competition, and I can't get the tracks for the Sheridan for some reason, and they came through the post 4 or 5 days. Yeah, but they came.
Yeah. It is like it. So going then for brick and mortar, then if you had to buy online, is there something about a particular company why you use them? For me, I'm going to lay it online now. I think eModels is the closest you're going to get to an online slap on the back, because whenever you get the emails, it's the word is humanist. It's very humanist, sort of like, oh, well done, you're our number one scale modeler, but they're like that. It's a really and the emails look really good, And I know there's other companies that just as soon as they've got the product, they don't want to know you, because there's a certain online company that I bought this rack off them, I did a review on it. I thought it was good, and I had to use super glue to glue it, and then it kept cracking every time I moved it. It would fall apart. This glue holder I bought, plastic one. If you go back looking through, you'll see the thing on it. And the response I got was, "Oh, you just use normal modeler's glue." I said, "No, because it's a very strong plastic. It doesn't melt. I've tried. It doesn't melt it. The only thing I can use at the moment is super glue, and that's cracking every time I move it. It cracks and falls apart." And that was it. They never even responded to my thing. So I tend not to use them. I do when I have to, but I do like using e-models. And also sometimes when I've wanted stuff, I'll go to Buffers and I'll get them to order it for me and they do it, and it's really good rate. But is there any particular brands you use that you've had a really good experience with?
Models for sale.
Models for sale, that's a good one. King Kits is another one.
King Kit's quite good. Yeah,
very good King Kits. Cezanne Scale Modeling. E-models have certainly personalised their portal. One of the things that I like about them, it's a very human sort of, they've got their little memes and stuff. But yeah, it's, we haven't, Amazon, sometimes you go on Amazon and and they'll do some kits cheap. I remember the, one of the 144 planes I bought for £4. It was £4, and that came from Germany in 5 days.
Wow.
And all I paid was £4, and they shipped it to me from Germany. Wow. There was no money in it, obviously, but it came from Germany.
Well, my Tamiya Raiden that you recommended on Amazon, that came from Portugal.
Yeah. Portugal, yeah, came from Portugal.
I built it.
Those submarines I built, they were £4 or £5 off Amazon, cheap as chips. Jeff says, I have a short shot on my Airfix 148 sticker kit. As you say, I will try technical terms. Watch my video. At least a couple of days ago, just before the model show video I did, I went through the process of how I got a spare part for my kit that was broken. It was quite funny because I think there might be an issue with that Rotodyne, because the actual kit came with 2 props labeled like on the back of a Airfix box. So and that kit's going to scaling models to build. I'm not going to build that one, but yeah, that's quite true. I found Amazon is getting more expensive than some shops these days. Yes, I do understand that. Yeah. So
I go to Scale Hobbyist, so that's kind of my first place. It's a US based, so I tend, of course, I go to US based stuff. We have Hobby Link, 1001 Hobbies.
I'll try that. That's not even 1001 Hobbies. That isn't American. I promise you that now. That's France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and they have a distribution center, and they all come out of Atlanta, Georgia. So
do they really?
Yeah. So. Anyway, Scale, and I don't have a relationship with any of these folks. I've just gotten, the first place I'll go is Scale Hobbyist. They will usually have what I need. They don't have the biggest selection, but they tend to have, and they carry all Mr. Color products. 'Cause I'm kind of a Mr. Color guy, and shipping is less than $10 for whatever I buy, and their prices are competitive. So that's in the States, and so actually I don't really go to Amazon too much anyways, because what I found is these whoever it's coming from, they include the shipping in the price of the product. So in other words, if I'm going to buy a Tamiya paint or a Mr. Color paint, it's 2, sometimes 3 times the cost as what it would cost me at like Scale Hobbyist. So a Mr. Color paint is they're all somewhere between $2 and $3. But if I go to Amazon, I get free shipping, but the cost of that paint is going to be at least $6, $7, $8. So
the about 1001 Hobbies. This is twice this happened. Again, I always give people the benefit of the doubt the first time. So the first time I ordered Tamiya panel line accent in brown.
Okay.
And then it took over a week or 9 days for it to get to me. And when it turned up, they sent me Humbrol brown wash. So I sent them an email back, said this is wrong. They said you need to send the product back for a refund. And I had to send it back to France. Send it back to France. I was really pissed, really was. Anyway, the second time I ordered Tamiya extra thin, the green, the quick setting one. They sent me the normal green, and when I rang up, and also the number they have on the website it doesn't even work. It's an English number 0845 or 0848 or something like that. Doesn't even work. And that's why I emailed saying you sent me the wrong stuff. This is on the order. This is what I've received. I'll send it back for full refund. So on 2 occasions they took my money, sending me the wrong product, but to send it back to France was £8. So for me, I don't
shouldn't
care.
they have paid that?
No,
They should have paid that.
No, because they're not under distant selling regulations or contracts. Or is it a consumer contract regulations like used to be?
Is it not an English website?
No, it's not. It's still based in France, even though it says.
Right. I've got you.
So that's the con. It's like a front, and you're getting it abroad. That's just me. I wouldn't use them again. That's it. So, but when I put that out there, this has happened. The comments I received were like, "Yeah, we won't use 1001. They're a con. They claim that they're in the UK, but they're not. It comes from abroad. And when you buy something, it doesn't come within 9 days. You know damn well they've got it from abroad. That's how it works, isn't it? So, but they get away with it. But lots of people, even tonight, we've got people saying 1001 hobbies are, basically dog shit. And I was saying that to me, prove it, dog shit company.
Yeah, I buy them when they're the only people that have it. Like I said, I'll go to Scale Hobbyist, and then I'll go to Hobby Link, and then I'll go to like 1001.
Yeah, fair enough. If it's good in America, then but that's what I mean. It's a front. It's a front. They're a European company, so
interesting.
Going down through the comments for shopping in the Netherlands, I like most models. Domino model, MBKDE, which is German. There's a lot of online shops that have interesting supplies. Yeah, you're quite right there, Repart. We've said it for years. The Haddon's website is shockingly shite.
Yeah, it is. It's terrible.
It is like the Krypton factor, isn't it? You got to go in there and you search your result, and before you know it, you're saying, "Start the fans, please!" Trying to pick something that you want. You know what I mean? It's crap.
You can search one thing, you'll have 1,000 options.
Exactly. You go in there, go in there for a decal sheet, and you end up with a screw cutter come up. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's it. So, yeah, we have opened a can of worms mentioning these shops. But I'm just telling you how it is for me. And when I say these things, because I don't just say it because it happened to me, other people have had worse experience than I have. Kits that come and not even what they've ordered, Tamiya kit, and they've ended up with a trumpeter. It's really, really bad.
That's not good.
Yeah,
but don't you think that this is the big plus to go into a model shop? It's the fact that we've got a point of contact.
Yes,
and there's no issue over misunderstandings or anything.
Exactly.
I mean, if somebody buys something off Alex's shop and there's an issue with it, he can take it back to Alex, and Alex can either give him a refund or a replacement, and then he'll get the refund from whoever it is originally sourced the kit from.
Yeah.
Online, it's not always that easy.
Yeah.
No.
Well, the other thing that a couple of people have mentioned, and obviously this is UK specific, but is who is delivering it? Because sometimes, like, I think a couple of people have mentioned every. I mean, I know that where we live, it's a little bit touch and go whether every delivered to the right house, Whether
Yeah.
you know, I received a proof of delivery once from DPD, and it was just like a photo of my parcel outside somebody's house, and it wasn't my house, and it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah.
Mm.
So you kind of forget all of those issues, but you paid for that service that hasn't delivered your model to where it should be.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of a risk factor there as well.
Crazy Lucky, that there about finding Polish companies pretty good too. If I need something from a Polish company, I'm not lying, I will go on eBay because they're banging on eBay. All right, it'll take you a week to get there in the postage, but some of it postage about £4 or £5 for certain things. Yeah, it's you've got to go where you're loved and you know where you're going to get. To be fair, I've never had a problem with Hanan stuff when it comes. It's brilliant, spot on. It's just taken me an hour a day, 2 cups of coffee, 5 cigarettes, and to find the thing that I want. And I think deep down they know this, but because their range is massive, because see, that's another thing. It's like, should importers be allowed to sell to third party, to the end user? Lots to be said about that, because years ago, working in certain trades like I have, you couldn't just buy, say, a Saks clutch from the Saks website, or Ferodo brake pad from Ferodo. They were the guys, and you would have to go to a retailer to buy the product. So, that happens a lot. Hanans are importers, and they will sell to the public. Do Bachmann do the same, Alex? Do they sell to the public?
I'm not sure if Bachmann do, but Creative and Hobby Company both do. But again, they, it's all RRP. And I think a lot of people have mentioned it in the comments about Hanans. If you want something specific, if you want, the brass turned pitot tube for an Airfix F111, you'll be able to find it on Hanans. It'll be retail price, and it'll have, the £4 of Hanans postage on to put it in a small envelope and pay Royal Mail to.
You got to spend over £12 now before they even send it out to you. There's a price point. Yeah, you can't just buy.
Tells you the last time I bought from Hanans.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but they're really good for that. If you want something absolutely specific, they will have it at that price. But I mean, in terms of restricting them to selling to the public, I mean, if the main manufacturers do, you can't really say that. Well, they can't.
Yeah. If I remember rightly, on Batman's site, you will get a list of who their stockists are. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
And I
think that.
Go on, Sally.
I was going to say, I was thinking, I don't think Batman, they'll only sell to distributors. Batman don't sell direct to the public. I think I remember seeing something about that once before.
Yeah.
Looking for something.
Yeah, I get that. Hanan search is incredibly complex, but also very complete. But is it? If you're looking for a certain thing and something else comes up, it's not. Well, it's over complete then.
Yeah, sometimes if you want to make sure you capture it, because they got all the different categories, haven't they? Like aircraft decals that have a gloss sheen and were made under the blue moon. It's just like, well, I don't know. Were they?
That's right.
Got all these things. And if you try and be really generic, you'll get found 1,082 results, and you got 100 pages of things to pour through. So it's not user friendly.
I've struggled finding very specific stuff. I've had to put it into a general. I can't think what I was looking for now. Just say, for example, I was looking for 48 scale spit. I don't know, pitot tube or something like that. I can't find it in that, but if I put Spitfire pitot tube, it will come in with all the 1,001 other fucking ones that they do in that, but in every other scale. But I've had it a few times.
AI powered for sure. It's like powered by the 90s.
It's terrible. I'll tell you what, it was decals I was looking for, and I had to put it in a general of that that particular subject just to get what I wanted, and I had to trawl through a lot of stuff to find it. Sometimes I have actually found stuff when I've specifically put it in but
Yeah.
that's rare, to be honest.
I will say this much though. I will say this: have you ever done a Google search or something and it's come up with the Hannon's list? That's what gets me. It's easier to search on Google than it is to actually search on the Hannon's website. It's every single time I've done it. Like looking for something on Google, and next thing you know, there's a list and there's Hannon's there in the mix. Like, you know what I mean? So getting something right. Oh yeah, Crazy Lockers just said there. Google Power Search for the win.
Yeah.
But if you have a part number, your job at Hannon's is easy. Otherwise, yeah, I don't. But I said, do use the Google. As to what I normally do is I look on the Backman site and then I send a screenshot to the hobby shop, and he orders it for me when he is open the next day. That's a good shout. That is a good shout. Never thought of doing that. To be fair, never thought of doing that. And somebody here, Lee Brown, says, I feel a bit spoiled because Hannon's is actually my local model shop here in Lowestoft. Yeah. Lucky bastard. Yeah. But then I'm glad it's not, because I would just be broke. Yeah, Crazy Locker just said, how jealous I go broke. Crazy, stop reading my mind, you bugger. Stop reading my mind.
To be fair, eBay's lethal for me.
Oh, yeah.
eBay's absolutely lethal. Look for one thing and about, I'll save that for later.
Could I also say, right, do you think the Airfix website is shite? When you buy a product, you say, you're buying a Spitfire, Mark 48, 148, Mark whatever, and then you click on the checkout, and then underneath it comes up, do you need to buy these 3 items with it? And there's nothing related to those 3 items. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do you want to buy this lightning? Do you want some pink Humbrol paint? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mind you, I've had the same with eBay.
3D printer. No, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I have had the same thing with eBay.
Yeah.
You know, others bought this, also bought. I'm like, why do I need a hose pipe?
Yeah.
This kit? Do you know what I mean? So what?
I think the best one for me was when I went on to the I bought the thingy, my very first airbrush. I went looking for the Badger one, and they came up with this all-in-one. So you get the compressor with a tank, you get a hose, and you get an airbrush with it. And it was about 140 quid, but it was still about £80 cheaper than the Badger one that was a standalone. But it just had a different name on it. So what I did, I clicked on it, and underneath it says, people who bought this set also bought the hose, the airbrush, like as a separate item, and then they had the compressor. And you buy it 2 of everything, like, you know, you're like, no, you know what I mean? And I said, no, I don't want all that. But yeah, I find myself doing that. It's some of the, other people have bought is bollocks. It really is. You know, like I said, when it said you want to buy a 3D printer, I was like, no, straight to basket for that, please. Not a chance. So,
I have had the odd experience on the Airfix website where I've looked for something specific and it hasn't found it. You know,
yes.
They'll announce something and you type it in, and it's just like, yeah. And then you go onto the shop and look in the general category and it's there, and you think, well, why didn't it find it?
Yeah. I think it was taggers who put in my Discord saying, why is it that, or somebody did, saying that when you go to the Airfix website, say for instance, you go to airplanes or planes, and then the scale, then you put military or non-military, and then in the non-military it's things like Spitfires and everything, and then vice versa. It's like they're trying to hit you from all angles. So you're looking for a Concorde, and you go on there, so you go non-military, and in the same list as Concorde is a Vulcan. So yeah, I get that quite a lot. But the it is very clunky. Yeah, the best. I'm not going to lie here. One of the best websites is Revell's website. Their online portal's very good. Mini Art, yeah, is all right.
The Mini Art site is really slow. I've accessed it from different places.
Yeah,
with like fiber optic connection, and it's still slow. I don't know what about it. I mean, they have a lot of images. I don't know whether that is it, but
yeah,
Mini Art can be really slow.
The Tamiya website, don't even bother.
It doesn't exist, does it?
It does, but when you get on it, it's in Japanese, and you've got to click the English flag.
Some of it's still in Japanese.
Yeah. And and then you've got to scroll down through it, like, you know. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Airfix did that with the Bloodhound, announced its release and removed it from the website since they listed it as unavailable. Did they sell out? Because Alex got them all in his shop before everybody else. They must have heard you, Alex. They said, "Right, sod this. We're going to send him all these Bloodhounds to sell." Because you got it. You know what? That is one of the things that's making me really doubt pre-ordering Airfix kits. Because I pre-ordered the SRN1, I pre-ordered the Bloodhound, and I didn't get them for 2 weeks after the event. The only reason I got the Bloodhound was because I asked a favour from somebody in Airfix to send it to me for a review, and they sent it to me. But my original purchase one, and the Rotodyne was days late as well, you know. So that's one thing I'm wondering whether to bother with doing pre-orders now. Whether just to wait until they release it, then buy it and pay the extra £7 and get it next day. But still, if it does say next day, it's not next day because it's still another 2 days because I don't know what's happening with the warehouse. They just seem to take forever to dish it out. But I'll say it now, I'll say it again. Every kit I've received from Airfix, from DPD, has been immaculate. No creasing, no nothing on the boxes or nothing. So I think DPD is one of the better ones anyway. Well, when DPD come, you get a notification. You click on it; it would even tell you the star sign of the driver in Anna's name. So you know, and they tell you it's 8 stops away, so you can get home in time, or make sure you've got your Ring doorbell set up, ready for them to answer. You know, to answer it.
I do feel it's a bit too personal.
What? DPD?
The DPD, yeah. I was like, I don't need to know what you have for breakfast.
No, that's right. Yeah,
I just want my parcel now. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
but they are good. They are good, to be fair. They've gotten better. The driving's horrific, but they're they get there, like.
Yeah.
But I've to be honest with you, I've only really pre-ordered 2 kits from Airfix. I don't think I'll bother again. I'll wait till after it's come out. Because when I ordered, I pre-ordered the Sea King when it come out. I can't. I've gotten in one of our lot in our Discords and ordered it and got it. They ordered it a couple of days after it had been released, or the day before, and they got it about a day or 2 before I did.
Yeah.
I was like, what was the point in pre-ordering?
What's the point in doing it? I think Matt from Modern Moments had the same issue.
One of the things I would say actually about bricks and mortar stores is pre-orders from like the likes of Airfix. When they say pre-order with us, that kills retail. If you're going to pre-order, because retail shops rely on that for obviously getting stock in, knowing stock levels, all that kind of stuff. Because for each of those suppliers I mentioned, they all have a minimum order, you know, or they have a minimum order with free shipping, you know, otherwise you've got to recalculate price and stuff. So I would say if people can support their local stores by pre-ordering from them, it's always better. But I get why people do it direct from Airfix, but
there should also be a benefit for pre-ordering as well.
Yeah.
Because when I've always pre-ordered stuff before, I've pre-ordered it and I'm going to guarantee that I'll get it X amount of days before everybody else.
Yeah.
But you know, when I says the stuff I pre-ordered, you know, like Mechanic, you know, people that had bought it a couple of days beforehand, before it being released, and got it before I did. So I was like, what's the point of pre-order? There's no benefit to me then.
That was the other kit I was waiting on, was the Gannett. Yeah.
I wasn't
also,
even.
If nobody has done, watch the video. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is good.
Just
it is very good. I wasn't even an Airfix Club member when I ordered the Airfix Spitfire when it came out, and I had it before people that pre-ordered it, and I just did it on a whim. So, well, not exactly on a whim, but you know, I just ordered it from Airfix directly, not pre-order anything, and I got it before people that pre-ordered, which was nice for me, but it's wrong.
I just want to quickly jump on this comment. We're going to go back to this because I've got an interesting thing I want to say as well. David Barber, yes, I have an issue with the Airfix. I renewed my membership in December 23, but can't buy the 2024 membership kit as a 2023 member. If you give customer services a ring and explain the situation, because this is the situation which I found myself when I did my club video. I said they went digital only. I've got the screenshots here. It said on the website that the magazines were going to be digital only. And then when I put the video out, they then tweeted back saying, "Oh no, they're going to be physical." And I was like, "No." And then I had a chat to Dale, and he goes, "Yeah, they're physical. We'll get the website changed." So they changed the website slightly on the top half, but when you look to the bottom, it said digital only. So your membership would actually be digital only as well. But I would ring up and query it and say, "Listen, I bought this in December, 4 weeks before. In theory, you have 90 days to cancel anything that you subscribe to."
Yeah.
So I think you could ring up and say, I may get shot for saying this, but you've got a case here to say, look, I bought it in December. You've just announced your new one now. Can I cancel it and then buy the new one? I don't think that's beyond, consumer distance selling regulator. Where it used to be called distance selling regulation, but now I think it's called consumer contracts or something. But I think you have 90 days. I have to put 60 days on stuff that I sell online. So if they don't like it, they can send it back. All right, they may have to pay for it. But seeing as digital, I'm not too sure where you stand. But I would argue this case and say, look, I bought this. It's not fit for purpose for me. Can I at least change it or add the extra £5 or the 20 quid that I need to pay and have it renewed from now, and just see what they say? And if they don't, just keep pressuring them. And like I said, if you don't get the answer from the first person, hang up and ring again. You know what I mean? You do that on eBay all the time.
You need to ask your mate, the black belt barrister.
Well, black belt barrister. Nah, good lad, he is. Good lad.
He is.
But going back to the pre-order thing, and everything else. Well, there was somebody Airfix did that. Bloodhound announced it released and removed it. Oh no, it was about. It was on Amazon. Somebody said it was unavailable. It was pre-order, but you could buy it from Amazon. There's a bit of a catch here, because if you've noticed that Airfix now sell on Amazon, if you did buy it on Amazon, it would be as a pre-order, and they would give you a message saying this will be available in 2 or 3 weeks. Because I found that out the wrong way as well. But if you look on a lot of the kits that are being sold on Amazon, it says the retailer is Airfix. So, but yeah, I said, could they? I said it, about the Airfix Club. Why can't they? If you're an Airfix Club member, to really make it worth your while, you will get the kits, before anybody else does, even those who pre-order. But also, the other thing I was going to mention was, I think this ME410, right, that they announced at the Scale Model Show, how much did that help the brick and mortar store that were at Scale Models or wherever around the country? You were able to buy that kit straight away. Once they announced it, you could go to your local model shop if they had it and buy it. Wasn't that a good thing to help the retailers to do it that way? Just put it out there. So they're having a pre-order. Well, so like for instance, on the Friday they announced the ME410 was available. They're releasing it now, and then you can either go on to Jadlam or Wyndham Wonderlands, or there's about 5 or 6 companies you could buy that e-models. You could buy that kit from, and you would get it either the Monday or if you went to the Scale Model Show.
Only buy it from the people that were at the show.
You couldn't buy. They didn't have them in other.
They weren't available for anybody else.
You couldn't buy it on the e-model shop on the Friday and get it on the Monday, because I'm sure you could.
No. So if you remember a conversation with Dale, he said that they were only doing it for the people that had already committed to be at the show, be at Telford, to have that
right. Okay.
The events notification.
But that's what I'm saying. But you could have bought that kit from Jadlam on the Friday, and they would have shipped it to you for Monday. And I thought Winter Wonderland models were doing that, or Wonderland models were doing that as well. You could order it from the website on the Friday when it was released, and then you would get it either the Saturday if you paid extra for postage, or you would have got it on the Monday. That's what I was under the impression.
But that only helps those 4 or 5 stores.
Yeah.
Which are all the big, all the big guys. So I don't think that helps high street retail.
But what if they did a release like the Sea King, and then they had the kits all in the warehouse ready to go. And then they said to every single model shop, we've released this kit we've told everybody on Wednesday, we've released this Sea King. Get your orders in now for your shop, so you'll get them all by Friday. So everybody had a level playing field to get them
That
in
would
the
be
shop.
fantastic.
That's what I mean. Yeah. But I thought they did that. I thought they did that with the ME410, with those ones that were.
No.
Okay, that's my bad. Okay.
Wouldn't they only be able to do that if they had the stock in the shop?
That's no, yeah, but that's what I mean. Say like for everybody, you buy the kits and boom, we'll send them out to you. So they would say they'd select the Sea. Say for instance sake, the Chinook. They didn't announce that at the announcement day. Well, in March the 1st, they say we're going to release a Chinook, and it'll be available in your local model shop next Monday. So all the model shops can then ring up Airfix, put their order in for these Chinooks, and each model shop will get them on that day on the Monday. Then they can ship them out to other people. Was that the easiest way? Would that be the better way? That would help.
Yeah, but surely that would only work if the retailers could get the stock in.
That's what I mean. That's the idea. They would announce it on the Wednesday, and everybody then could then put in their orders.
Yeah, but weren't there issues with the SRN1? Do you remember when the SRN1? Because you had a pre-order in with it, and Jadlam had it before they even announced it.
That's right. But they didn't have.
They do this.
Did they have the stock in the shop, or did they say you can just pre-order it with us, and then they got it?
Well, that's what I thought they did. I thought they didn't have it in the shop. I thought that you could have ordered it that day, and they would have shipped it out to you when they got them in stock.
That's because, John, they had advance notification.
That's right. Which is fair on guys like you.
Few shops that were given an advance notification, which again is that a quicker way to kill a distribution network than to give preferential treatment to a couple of different suppliers.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was talking to John Alex a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the pre-ordering issue, and you never got the kit at all. To me, there's no point in pre-ordering anything because they send all those models out to the retailers that are big boys before you even got a chance, and you've already paid for it.
Well, no, that's not quite true. You don't pay for it until they ship it that day. So, for instance, when I ordered, like, say, for instance, the what did I get last? It was the Buccaneer. I put the order in, pre-ordered it, and I didn't. And then 6 months later, they then took the money from my account, and then they said it'll be shipped the next day, and it was shipped the next day.
Right.
Yeah. Why does everybody want the kit on release day? Well, why wouldn't you?
That's a really good point.
Because we do. Because it's the Apple way. Whenever
that's
they really,
but that's a stash thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you definitely want it for your content creator. Because you want to get it.
I was muted the whole time. I'm sitting here, blah blah blah.
Unless you actually want to build that model tomorrow, you can't build it when you want it unless it's in your house.
It's the latest thing. Listen, I get my iPhone when they launch it. I have it within 2 weeks. I pre-order it on the day, and then I get a little notification saying that you're not going to get it till November because everybody just bought them.
Yeah, but it's slightly different with the model trade. I mean, because I asked you last week what your next model project was going to be. How long have you had that kit in your house? It's a few months, isn't it? It's very different, but you can't have control of when you want to start building that project unless. Yeah,
I understand that, but on the other flip side of it, though, I can see where Alex is coming from.
Yeah,
where you have small amount of scale model shops have internal because they spend a lot of money. I can see why Alex.
Agree with that.
I think that's why Alex is pissed.
Yeah, I quite agree with that as well. I don't agree with the fact that these big boys should have more advantage on early deliveries before people that have already pre-ordered it.
Right. It's also double advantage, right? So I can tell you how many ME410 kits I've sold in the shop.
Yeah.
None. I haven't sold a single one. Now, F-35 starter sets, I ran out again last week, which is about the 4th or 5th time I've had to restock them. The problem is that once you've got a couple of retailers who can get advanced copies and everybody can get it from there, is that everybody gets it from there,
Yeah.
and then that's it. Everybody who wants that new kit, that new shiny thing, has it. So
Yeah.
the fact that small companies like, so I'm not just talking about me, I don't want to make it about me, but like a small company comes out and says, okay, Airfix, I want to hit the minimum threshold for you to ship for free. So I've got to buy this number of kits, which is all on pre-sale. It's all pre-info. You know, you pay pro forma. So they've already got the money. So Airfix already have the money for the stock of 410s that I have in the shop. So I'm funding Airfix there directly. There's nothing coming from that. So it's a debt that I have in my bank balance that are given to Airfix for what? They haven't supported me in that at all. So that is, and every other company as well, because you say 10 model shops in the country have the same issue. They bought a couple of maybe 410s. I mean, I've got quite a stock. That's quite a bit of money that Airfix are getting for basically stock, which might not sell for what, a couple of years, 3 years. Who knows?
You see, the problem with the ME410 is that if you go outside and ask the average Joe on the street, they won't have a clue what it looks like. But seeking they will. And that's why the 410 might sit on your shelf for 6 months or so.
Yeah, even though it's a fantastic kit.
I can believe it is.
Because everybody's bought it,
you've saturated your market.
But at the end of the day, it's like, as a personal choice, people will go to Magellan because they know they'll have it and they'll have a lot of it because they buy a lot of it. And then as a business for Airfix, they think that's good because we can then rely on Jadlam to buy 2,000 kits.
Yeah, but what will happen in the end, Moss, is they'll just have Jadlam and Wonderland models.
Yeah.
And there won't be any small independent retail shops.
Then that's up, but then maybe...
Or there won't be those shops selling Airfix. Because that's the other thing. I think you asked me a while ago, what one thing would I change? I wouldn't have half of the stock. Probably I'd have like a tenth of the stock of Airfix kits that I have. I'd have invested in other companies who support me better as a business, purely as a business. Nothing to do with the models, because I only have models in the shop which I think are acceptable. Let's say I don't have 1955 toolings of Revell tugboats, for instance. So, and ultimately, any model shop is a business, and if Airfix want to be, as their tagline says, the number one supplier to the hobby, they have to foster those relationships, not just with the ones that will buy 2,000 kits, but the ones that will buy 10 and 20 of a particular thing, because they still have to hit that minimum order value, right? So.
Well, you vote with your feet, don't you? Like I said, I tend to buy things that I want, and I'll go to particular websites who I want to support. But like average Joe who don't know about these other model shops, if they see Jadlam pop into their, I'm not dissing Jadlam this bit. I'm just saying that they've got a very, very good marketing structure where whenever you buy something off them, you are kind of forced into giving them your email address. And if you don't click that box to say I don't want information from you, they will send you email time after time after time after time. And so when the big release like that SRN one or the 410 comes out, they will then they will be able to get to the market they've already got the info from, and then so if nobody else thinks, well, they're the only one that's got it, they'll buy it off Jadlam.
I mean, and fair play to Jadlam. They, as you say, they've got it's a successful business, and no one's trying to take that away from them. But this is why I said that if we want to have small retail shops, small model shops, local shops there, then you have to have that kind of renaissance of like, well, am I just going to buy off the internet? Because if you do, that's what you'll have. Am I just going to buy from Jadlam? Well, then that's what you'll have. If you don't support a local model shop, then it's not surprising that there are no local model shops. So, and not to criticize anybody, because I do myself, buy stuff online. Sometimes it's the only way. Model shops don't have what you want and all the rest of it. But, if I want fresh fruit and veg and don't want stuff that goes off in a day from the co-op, I'll go to my local fruit and veg store,
Exactly. Just want to say a big shout out to David Barber and also to Crazy Locker for the super chats. That keeps the put the money that I get from super chats into actually paying for this expensive I think. StreamYard. But it's not the most expensive one. I'd like to get the most expensive one because we have a green room
Are we
then.
in glorious 1080p, Moz?
Pardon?
Are we in glorious 1080p?
1080p now. Yeah, I pay for
Exactly,
the top
we are.
1080p. So yeah, I set it for 1080p now because you just want the best, don't you? So people can see.
Yeah.
Do any suppliers do sale or return anymore for retailers? That used to be helpful for small shops. I think they do for sandwiches and pies and pasties, but when there hasn't got a shelf life, I don't think you can. It's it's whatever. Oh yeah, how many of those B-17s have you sold since Masters of War have come on the
Masters
telly?
of-
Then, Alex?
yeah.
Masters of the
Zero.
Air.
None.
None.
No.
And anybody watched it yet? I watched the first episode last night, and I was a bit. It's not Band of Brothers, is it? You know what I mean? But yeah.
Patience. Watch the second episode, Moz.
Is it good? The second episode, is it? Somebody said that they can't watch it because when they're coming into land, the flaps were up or something. They couldn't watch it or something because the flaps were wrong.
Yeah, I've tried on 2 different occasions to get through the first episode, and on both times I just kind of it just lost my interest. Yeah, I was really looking forward to it. So I'll watch the second one. I saw the second one was out, so I'll check that out. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check that out this week on my Apple TV. Games Workshop and Warhammer will buy back old stock if it doesn't sell. Also give 20% discount for brick and mortar stores. But that's the thing. You see, you go. Games Workshop do have a lot of shops around.
Yeah.
Games
then
Workshop
they're-
also do some really. They're not an easy company to deal with. They demand a certain store frontage if you're not, if you're an independent, and they might buy back. But if you're successful, they will put a Warhammer. They use you as a market test. So they're a successful business for a reason, right? They're pretty cutthroat.
Yeah. Yeah, I can order container at discount, significantly discount if 1 or 2 items. Okay. Yeah, as I said, brick and mortar is the thing. Saying that though, if there's no brick and mortar shops, then I suppose like Airfix tried going through game, didn't they? They were selling product in game. They sell product occasionally in Aldi and Lidl.
They had that. They had a model zone. What's it in WH Smith's?
Did they?
Yes.
But again, we're going. As I said, if the likes of Hobbycraft don't invest in their model side of things, I can't see it being put around too much in other places.
I mean, I can't. The thing is, if bricks and mortar are such an issue, why don't they go have a mobile model shop?
What, be like an ice cream van?
Like your old Snap-on. When you used to have your Snap-on, the Snap-on guy come to your aerodrome or whatever.
You mean like the baker's van?
Yeah.
Mobile library.
That's be a bloody big truck.
No, you don't. You don't only need a Sprinter. You get quite a bit in a
But
Sprinter.
it does make me laugh. I can imagine it going around with your rack of Vallejo in the back, like it's road bump. That's all on the floor.
Imagine Alex going up to somebody's back door with a tray in front of him with loads of
Tell you what,
I'm just thinking now, man's mobile moments. There we go.
yeah, you can imagine it. You can imagine it. You go because I remember those shops going around doing that. There used to be a shop in the early '80s. Used to go around selling stuff. You used to come up and go, "Oh, what have you got today? Can I have a bag of potatoes, please? And can I have tin of beans? And can I have a pirate copy of ET on VHS as well?" You know what I mean?
Something for the weekend, sir, as well.
So for the weekend.
Yeah, a t-shirt.
Yeah. I remember when being in Liverpool when there was a guy who used to come round with, "Want to buy a DVD?" Like that. DVD?
Yeah.
And buy DVD.
Yeah, buy DVD? Buy a DVD?
We had a guy come round once and he had a jacket in a lining for the watches.
Yeah.
You want to buy a watch? I don't think any of them would have worked.
No, that's right. Yeah. Oh, it used to be all sorts. I remember, when Backy used to bring Backy back, he used to get the lorry drivers go over to Europe and come back
That's
with
right.
piles of Backy
Yeah.
and cigarettes and stuff. And he used to buy like gold in Virginia, like a 50-gram pouch for £4, and it was like £9 in the shops. Can't do that now. Can't do that at all. There is a model shop that covers some of the villages around here. Wow. The return of the mobile tuck shop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Wow.
Arkwright and his
Yeah.
mobile.
Yeah.
I don't know if you get
Go
open
around.
hours. Yeah,
Trotters Independent.
Yeah.
yeah.
Tit.
There you
And then
go.
when you buy things on tech,
Yeah.
Have you seen these mobile post offices?
Yeah. This is it.
Saw
It's
them
like
the other day. Yeah.
it's like all banking is online now. You can't physically go into a bank now unless it's in the city. It's like when you want to do your mortgage.
No.
We found that going into a bank and saying this is what we want for a mortgage was cheaper than doing it online because the rates we were getting was absolutely crap. But it meant 25-minute drive into the city, parking up, paying paying and going into the Halifax or to the Lloyd's TSB to get a decent rate. There was a pop-up model shop at the Bournemouth Air Show. See, that's what I'd like to see. Maybe Airfix could do that. They have a van and they go around to those local scout clubs, and wherever and maybe that's my next venture is to just sell model kits in the back of a van. Be a bit seedy with it, like, you buy this, right? I'll give you a contactor free of charge, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I use free tobacco when I filled my truck up in Belgium. Yeah, it's duty free was the thing to have. So the decline of model shops is going down. As we said, we've seen it happening. What would save a model shop? Last half hour there. What would save a model? Say you want to see a model shop in your area. What do you think would save a model shop if it was struggling? Good question to ask. Tax breaks, good rates for them from the main. Yeah. I don't know what would be what would be the answer. I just don't know.
I think it is those. It's the on costs is one thing, and I think that goes to a lot of retail, not just modeling bits. I think also the manufacturers really need to work out what is their plan, and support that network, whatever that network is, whatever they decide. I think if you look at the likes of Tamiya, they use distribution. That is their model. Yeah. So they can support that. And if you look at the way Tamiya models, okay, the website's garbage, but that doesn't matter, right? Because Tamiya is recognized everywhere. You can buy a Tamiya kit for roughly the same price pretty much anywhere in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
That isn't true of a lot of other manufacturers.
No.
So good communicate. I mean, I've been a distribution manager for quite a long time in my real job, probably about 8 to 10 years. I was a distribution manager across different geographies. You've got to build up trust with your network. You've got to have a reason for them to invest in you, and it's incumbent on the manufacturers to do that. Whether they are manufacturers or importers, that is their job, right? To get you as a retailer to choose their product over others, and make it as easy as possible for them to do business. It is not easy to do business, for instance, with Hornby. Hornby is the most difficult company to do business out of any of the ones I do. Revell is actually very easy. I think I've mentioned this before. They need low barriers to doing business, like as low a threshold as they can for free delivery, for instance. Considering that you get free delivery £30 or over from Airfix directly, having to spend a lot more than that as a retailer, it's like, well, what's the rationale there? So I think they just need to work out what is their model and really go for that, really support it, make it easy for the retailers to buy from them. If they can buy, if somebody can come into the shop and say, I want this, this, and this, I can say I haven't got it in stock, but if I order it from Airfix, I can get it in. You come in on Tuesday, I can guarantee that you can pick it up by Thursday, Friday.
And then you have your Mac. Want to buy DVD?
That is how it should be, Alex. That is, if somebody comes in your shop, it doesn't matter what they want to buy. So they want to buy a Revell 32nd scale god awful Corsair, right? You should be able to
I
order
would
that.
talk them out of it.
Yeah, you would talk about obviously.
That's the benefit of the model shop.
And you should be able to just charge them a couple of quid extra for the postage to get it into your shop. That's the story. You shouldn't be left with this bloody god awful order that you've got to fulfill in order to get it back for free.
But then
Joey,
if you don't do that, they just go,
I know, I
let's just go
understand
online and order it. So that's what I think, if the retailers, if the manufacturers really want to support retail, they've got to think about what problems do they face. So for me, communication is the big thing. So some of the suppliers, I'll tell you, the hobby shop actually have some of the best communication. When I place an order with the hobby shop, I can do it online. I can see the live levels of their stock, so I know when it's going to come.
Yeah.
When I place the order and I pay for it, I can pay for it online or I can pay by backs. There's a guy called Ryan. If I don't know whether he would ever watch this, but if he does, he's a great guy. He rings me straight afterwards, say, "Oh, hi, got your order. Everything's in stock. It's gone to the warehouse. It's being picked. It'll be with you by whatever."
Yeah.
There's no need for that call, really, because it's all been done. It's all been confirmed by email. But it's just that courtesy bit, the level of service to me, because I am their customer. That communication is really good. So, it encourages me to use the hobby company to buy more stuff, and to be that. That's where I get my Tamiya stuff from.
Do you think it's what? Do you not think it's time to say? I think we've gone past. Say there was. Well, I think we've gone past the idea because there's not as many model shops as there were, say, 10 years ago. The only way around it, if Airfix want to support local model shops, would not to sell online, where they would you could only buy this from your local retailer or your stockists. I think sometimes that maybe they overdo it, because I presume that where I get my model, if I buy a kit from Airfix, it comes from a distribution center. So having to pay people to pack that item, bubble wrap it, then send it out. Maybe they should cut ties from doing online, so that other people do the online side, and all they got to do is worry about getting that kit to those shops. That would be going back to the VAT thing. It would never work, right? This VAT thing. I'll tell you the reason why. Because everything's sold online. Whether you buy your car insurance, whether you buy your gas, your lecky, whether you buy Tesco home product, as soon as you buy it online, the VAT rate will go right up. So you've got to keep the only reason, with utilities is that 5% VAT, isn't it? Which is, I think, is fucking deadly. They should never put VAT on human rights like gas. Gas and electricity is a fucking human right. You should never put VAT on it. Should never have happened. But because we made them national companies where the money goes to France, the only way they realized they could recoup any of that money they were losing when they went to become nationalized, when they came to private businesses and not nationalized, they lost that load of money because all that money's going abroad. EDF's owned by French company, things like that. It's all, so they put the 5% VAT on it. But you couldn't do it otherwise. You can't change the VAT for brick and mortar to online. It just doesn't work because everything else is bought online. When was the last time you rung direct line or gone into insurance brokers to sort out your car insurance? It doesn't work. So they couldn't do that, unfortunately. But maybe Airfix will earn too much money by selling directly online now. But the one thing I will say, if you live abroad, that Airfix website is bollocks. Absolute bollocks. Because I still cannot understand how they can charge £35 to £50 for an item to be sent to America. When I've sent a model to Alex for £19 or Fenris for 15 quid. So they fuck themselves on that. So, so they do insist on these kits going to the companies in the local realm or distributors. But as I said, I still feel that maybe that's the answer. If you want to support local, Airfix needs to get off online, but they won't because they make a lot of money from it, apart from if you're in abroad. So But that's one way of looking at it, is that if all the retailers decide we're not going to sell online, and all the manufacturers say we're not selling, unless the government brings out a thing saying you, but then again, Apple will be buggered because they manufacture and sell in their own shops, unless Airfix start bringing out their own model shops that do actually sell products like
Well,
Revell.
that would even the field, Moss. I would have no problem with Airfix selling online if it was online out of a bricks and mortar store, because that is an even playing field.
Yeah.
At the moment, they're competing on an online platform with people who are in bricks and mortar. It's just like, that's a very different structure, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't mind whether they did that or they do like Bachman do and only supply through distributors, because then you do build that bond, because it's just like, on their website it's say, oh, you buy from these various places, you know, and here is your local stockist and everything. But I think they just need to choose. They're trying to, I think, have their cake and eat it, and I don't think that will work long term.
But as I said, I've heard people say, "Oh, where's my kit? Where's this? Where's that?" And I said, "I'm in the same boat. I'm waiting for mine as well."
Yeah.
You know,
and Airfix aren't set up to support an online shop business in that way, in the way that, you know, people expect from the likes of Amazon. So either they have to invest more people to support that, otherwise they're going to start getting a bad reputation from that, or worse reputation, or whatever it is, I don't know, or, you know, go the other way and support distribution. But I think they do need to choose.
Yeah, I think poor commentary. I saw it might be in the European Union that put that on, the same as not owning the railways. But yeah, that 5% should be gone. There's no way on earth that something that's a human right. Is there VAT on water? I can't remember if there was VAT on water. But I have to have a look at my next water bill.
Right,
but,
we have things here that you don't pay tax on.
It's a human right.
Yeah, food.
You know, like I said, we went down the, well, we had to, didn't we? Because, you know, the gas and lecky companies was all made into taking off.
Well, I know for a fact you can't get cut off from the water.
I know that.
No, you can't.
It's a human right, and why are we getting taxed on something that's a human right? You know, and if you went back, you know, it's like all these billions of pounds worth of profits. That billions of pounds worth of profits these companies are making should be going back into the NHS. It just doesn't. But anyway, I'm not being political here. I'm just saying. Warhammer are being buttholes and are charging RRP on certain items. They can make them not exclusive, but so small shops can't buy them, so customers will go direct to them.
They're already so expensive.
But they can't do that by law. You know that, don't you? Competition rules say, because we've had this argument about Tamiya. Tamiya will only let you sell at 10% under the RRP, and they can't do that under competition law. So unfortunately, Warhammer can't do that. They can try it, but it's actually unlawful for them to do
I was having a look online because I wanted to find out if I had any model shops near me, and I've got 3 model shops that are in walking distance. They're all sorting Warhammer.
Yeah.
So this comment is, sorry, that one from Phil there, it says like, well, if that's the way you feel, then you don't want retail shops.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, but bear in mind you've paid for your club to get the 10%. So, you know, if you're buying £350 worth of, or say you're counting the other 10%, £175 worth of Airfix kits, it's a marketing buy-in. That, right? I've used that kind of trick before. It creates that mentality of I have to buy this in order to use my discount. But that, if you want that mentality, that's basically saying I just want to buy from the internet, because retail can't survive in that, right? I mean, that's a choice. That's a choice we all have to make.
Yeah, that's it. It's unfortunate, but that's, you know, I am an Airfix Club member. I personally think it's good value for money. I know we've got differences, and that's fair enough. But I do use my Airfix Club to buy the stuff, and also everything else that goes with it. I like the magazine. I like the calendar.
I mean, it's a fair point from Phil that, you know, if retail is charging RRP, then why would you? That's why I say I think it's the responsibility of store owners that they have to be competitive.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why go in the shop if it's just, oh yeah, you can physically see the stuff, but it's more expensive than everywhere else. It's like, well, that's not enough. You have to be competitive with those prices and have some sort of value add, whatever that is.
Yeah, but there's something else. There's something else that you mentioned, Alex, about the fact we were talking about that Corsair. Revell are never going to dissuade a customer from buying that kit, but a reputable shop owner would.
Yeah,
I think I've mentioned before, I've segregated the Revell price list. I actually went through ScaleMates and went through every single kit and put when it was tooled. I won't buy half of the list, basically. So I only have in my shop stuff that I could stand by somebody opening the kit and building it in front of me. If they open that Corsair, I'd be embarrassed, Yeah.
Well, most of those warbirds are terrible, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody knows what they're getting into and really wants it, sure, I'll order you a Corsair.
Right.
And you have my sympathy.
Just watch his video first.
I've been a glutton for punishment because I've built 2 of those kits twice. I built the P40 Warhawk and I've built the Corsair twice.
You've only yourself to blame, John.
I know. I agree with you.
Well, folks, it's been quite an in-depth conversation about model shops tonight. You've heard a lot from the horse's mouth on what it is like to own a model shop. I'd like to get somebody like Wonderland Models in and tell, and if they're listening or watching, if there's a model shop out there, like to come on and have a chat to us about running a model shop as well. They're quite willing to come on for another chat with us. I am going to say, if there's a model shop, if I go somewhere and there is a model shop, I will get out 5 or 6 crisp £10 notes and give them money for stuff. Obviously, I would. Like I said, my local one, Buffers. It's just that little bit too far away from me for me to go there on a regular basis. I have to plan my trip up there. I normally go to an auction house at the same time and pop in and see them. But as I've not been there for a while, it shows you how many times I've been to that auction house. But yeah, it is a sad state of affairs. Years ago, model shops were here, there, and everywhere. They were always in the bigger towns, weren't they? They weren't in like the villages and stuff, but they were always in the bigger towns, not always in a city. And I think with the onset of online, and you can't say that Hornby as a company saw a market there and decided we're going to sell direct to. That was their decision, and I don't think they're going to change it anytime soon. It's nice to see the likes of Bachman saying, no, we're just going to stick to retail and that, and that we're only going to supply retailers. Fantastic. But in the end of the day, we work within our means. And if you do want to support a local, if you've got one in your area, then go off and buy from that. And the best thing about these model shops, they've got all the accounts set up. If it's something that you desperately need, I think they can get it to you within a couple of days. It's pretty good. And that's the future. I think if you can't get to a model shop, you will naturally buy online. But yeah, when it comes to Tamiya and all that, I diss around all the places. I don't necessarily buy from one particular online. I bought from Amazon sometimes, but I've seen a Tamiya kit going cheap, especially that 148 Dingo. That was dead cheap before Christmas, or just before Christmas. I bought that. But yeah, I think the local shop is where it's at if you want to be that way. And if you can't, you have to buy online. But go to a reputable online shop. I'll tell you what would be even better is if you find an online retailer that does have a brick and mortar shop with them. That's the answer, I think. If they have a brick and mortar shop, then buy on. If they've got an online shop with it, buy from them. Don't just buy from those who just run on electric and a warehouse. Or we used to call it. You could run this place on a phone box, because you would ring them up and we've got it. You can't go and collect it. You can run it on a phone box and contact a retailer to send it directly to them. That will be the answer. I don't think Airfix will do that either.
I've never asked Alex actually, but do you have a purchase model for your shop as well to purchase things online?
Sorry, a purchase?
A method of buying things online through you. Have you got
get in touch through the shop. We've got the online web store, Man's Model moments. unsmodelmoments.com. I don't have everything on there, but you can drop me a message. Again, I can order pretty much anything, pretty obscure stuff, like everything from Airfix to Zuckermura, basically. Because it is impossible to get, going back to Moss's original point of the wide range. Unless you are Hanans, you're never going, and you need a warehouse to put in, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of stock. You're never going to have it all right there. But a lot of retailers, myself included, will have access to be able to do that. So you can kind of just get in touch and ask that, including secondhand stuff,
Yeah, that's it. So it's online is, and also Alex is a one-man band, so he hasn't got the time to put every single thing online that he has in his shop, because it's not easy. Doing product online isn't easy. It really isn't. For me, I sell on eBay, and it can take me, after taking the pictures and everything and getting all the information, because on eBay there's about 30 boxes you've got to fill in now, and they ask you to, in certain people, you've got to fill them all in. It takes 7 or 8 minutes to do one product. If you've got 100 products, that's 700 minutes. It's never right.
It takes about 10 or 15 minutes to put something on the web store compared to 10 seconds to write a price and put it on the shelf. So because you have to have the what is it, the IBAN number and all these different things. Otherwise, interesting point, Google Ads won't list your stuff. It'll deprioritize your thing, so you won't appear in searches if you don't have all of that information on, like the harmonized system code, even though you're not shipping outside of the UK. So this is why companies like Jadlam, like Hammonds and stuff that have people that can just do the website 100% are much better geared for that, because that's all they're doing. Right? If anybody wants to offer their services for free to list stuff on the website, I'm very happy to accommodate you.
John Alex has got his plane ticket and he's ready to come, aren't you, mate? You got your bags back to come in.
That's right. No, I've bought from Alex. So
John Alex has very kindly bought. And it did cost a lot in shipping because he bought some very large things.
It was worth it, and it got here in like 3 days. I was amazed at how quick the stuff got here. And,
it was a very nice short trip for you, Alex, wasn't it?
You put it all in a
plane.
It came in a suitcase.
Not the little Tata bag. In the wild.
Better service and
definitely get on over and check out his website, because he's got pages and pages of models. So,
George Davis, I think it's quite true. I totally get this. This is where the hobbycraft could fill in the void if model shops aren't in your area and there is a hobbycraft. The little store is so important for getting and keeping people in the hobby. It's probably not worth it for Airfix, etc. over short-term profit, but in the long term, But as I said, they go into a lot. Airfix are going to a lot of scale model shows now, showing off their wares. Remember, they don't sell at these shows; they just show off. And if you see something you like, probably another model shop who's selling it. It's got it there on his stand. But anyway, folks, that's it. It's nearly 10 o'clock. We're a little bit early finishing, but I think we've gone through a lot tonight, and appreciate everyone who's watched. I think we had up to 220 people at one point watching this, so we're gaining ground. We're hopefully trying to get there. I want to put an invite out that if there's any other YouTubers on YouTube with a good subscription or need some extra help with their subscribers and stuff and want to come on and have a chat with us, we've got room for 10 on here, I think it is, or was it 12? You're quite welcome to email me, and I'll go over your channel, and then I'll put your name to the other guys here, because it's a democracy here, and we'll get you on. And if you want to come on every week, it'd be good to have a mixture. And remember, I do host this, but the idea is to encourage you all to watch and to subscribe to these. They put a lot of time and effort into their channels, and and give them some support and some love. Anyways, thanks all, folks, and we'll see you next Monday at the same time. I'll find something to speak about. It's something random. Something will happen in the week, and we'll discuss it. But have a good week, folks, and support your local YouTubers. Take care, all, and goodbye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.